Let's go ahead. Let's move on now to the Jacksonville Jaguars 7-round mock draft in our 7-round mock draft series. But before we get into that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and smash that bell so you can get notified every single time Tyler and I post new content. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the NFL draft. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. All right, Tyler. Jacksonville Jaguars surprised everybody last year. Winning the division, Trevor Lawrence coming on, looking like the first-round pick that he was in the second half of the 2022 NFL season. And there's not really a whole lot of really huge gaping holes on this offense. To me, the one that is really big after free agency is the Jawan Taylor loss on the right side. And I think we go ahead and fill that right up with this 25th overall pick with DeJuan Jones, the offensive tackle from Ohio State.
Yeah. So a lot of different routes that they could go here. And we thought maybe a particular also Florida offensive lineman would be a great fit here. And I think he would be, but he was already taken off the board. And I think DeJuan Jones here is the next best thing. So getting good value, replacing Jawan Taylor. And having these late picks, there's a lot of different routes they could go. I can also see them maybe going in the secondary as well, because that front seven actually is pretty solid for Jacksonville. But here, addressing the offensive line and going from there. And so, because they're going to address the secondary in the next pick at pick 57 with Keely Ringo, cornerback from Georgia, just going with the kind of he is just a super athletic guy. And in our draft, he started to fall a little bit. And I think he has a huge upside, and having him next to who is it here? Tyson Campbell, I think would be a great fit to this addition. He's got huge upside. He came into the offseason as potential like number one corner in the draft, but he's fallen a little bit just because of some concerns about his technique. I think he would be a great developmental piece and can come in and help contribute on day one.
Yeah, a lot of the concerns with him is he can stick with receivers when they get vertical. It's just when they stop, he doesn't necessarily stop. And he does struggle a little bit with short area quickness. But again, you can kind of limit that by putting him on the outside and really helping eliminate a lot of those true shiftier wide receivers that he has to cover. So,
yeah.
And then also sticking with the secondary theme, as well as the Georgia theme, the next pick 89, Chris Smith II, the safety from Georgia, I think is just a really solid player. A versatile safety. You can play in the box. Really want to stick to it too high with him. He doesn't quite have the range to be a single high. But again, I really like this pick. You can play in the slot, play in the box, play in a too high safety system. And I think he's just at worst a very solid third safety on the roster.
Yeah. And so a developmental piece here, but I think he can come in rotationally if some guys get hurt and then help to develop with their current safeties right now. Rayshon Jenkins amongst just the PFF rankings was 80th out of all safeties that qualified. And I was at 88. So maybe some potential improvement there can bring in some competition. So,
and I want to rephrase what I said. I think he can come in and be a starter in week one, but I think for his rookie season, he will most likely be in a rotational safety role to develop later on into a starting safety.
Yeah. So, well, and
I feel like we undersold him there a little bit.
But in this league too, just having good depth, especially in the secondary, is crucial. And so here though, with the next pick at pick 122, another thing, just getting depth, getting more developmental pieces. We have him going with the offensive or the interior offensive lineman Jared Patterson out of Notre Dame. I like this pick a lot. You're going to have to protect Trevor Lawrence for many years to come. They were 19th in PFF amongst all just overall offense, and so I think improving from there is going to be huge for this offense if they want to keep going farther into the playoffs and protecting Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne.
Yeah, no, and he graded out pretty well over the last 3 seasons, and he's just a versatile interior offensive lineman. He can play center. He thrives mostly at the guard position, but I like this pick. Adds good depth there, and he could potentially be competing for a starting job day one. So next up, we have a couple pass catchers coming off the board. The first one is Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end from Michigan. He's kind of the opposite of Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram I want to say he's about 6'4", 240, a little bit more of the move tight end, whereas Luke Schumacher, 6'6", 260. He's going to line up on the line of scrimmage and be a true blocking tight end.
Yeah.
He was, in my opinion, slightly misused at Michigan, and I think he's going to have a better NFL career than he did college. And I like this pick a lot. I think this is really good value, and dipping your toes into this tight end class, I think, would be very smart if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars after the season Trevor Lawrence just had, throwing the ball to Evan Ingram. So
yeah, so I think he is a different piece of what they have already, even if you look at the receivers as well. So he can come in as essentially a 6 offensive lineman, but he can also go out and catch ball. And he's a good route runner. He's a good receiver, but he is also good in the blocking schemes as well. So
yeah.
Then from there, I pick 187 going with Trey Tucker, receiver from Cincinnati. They obviously, we all know about their receiving room right now with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley's coming back, but just getting another young receiver, as we talked about, having depth at that position. And he had a great career at Cincinnati, and I think he can come in and help contribute from day one.
No, yeah. He had a really good year. Him and Tyler Scott are the 2 Cincinnati receivers coming in this season. Tyler Scott went a little bit higher, and I think Trey Tucker has a lot of upside. I want to say he's a little bit more of a field stretcher, but I think he's going to add good special teams value this season as well. And so a really good pick there. And then let's go ahead and rapid fire through these last 3. They have, I think, 3 7th rounders or a late 6th and 2 7ths. But Keaton Mitchell, the running back from East Carolina, you're more the running back guru, but I think this is really good depth here to sit behind Travis Etienne and Cruz.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It is same thing as what we talked about with this team. There's not a lot of holes actually with this team, especially with the improvement that they came on on the second half of the season, and they've returning a majority of those guys. So I think adding depth at the running back position with a young, fun player like Keaton Mitchell is going to be great. So 210, Jacob Slade, defensive lineman out of Michigan State. I think addressing that defensive line, something that they haven't done yet in this draft, which there might be a miss on our end, but adding more depth to this piece. And this, I think he's a good developmental guy. A lot of good offensive linemen that he went up against in the Big Ten. And so I think he might be a little bit more
really
polished.
good run stuffer. Yeah, he's a really good run stuffer. So, and then lastly, Viliami Fehoko, the edge rusher from San Jose State. He has a brother, Simi Fehoko, that I believe is a tight end that went in one of the last 2 drafts. But just really athletic edge rusher. He's going to be a little undersized, but at this point in the draft, you're looking for traits that you like. And I think he has good speed and will definitely be a special teams contributor with developmental edge backup potential. So,
yeah.
So, yeah. But all in all, I really like this draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they fill their holes at the top and they add good depth at the bottom. And yeah, I just think it's a solid draft. I like DeJuan Jones. Maybe 25 is a little rich for him, but I think he's going at the back end of the first round, early second anyways. And I think 25 is probably the top end for him. So
yeah, I think that their first 3 picks, I think, address positional needs that they lost. Like Shaquille Griffin is not there anymore, so I think Keely Ringo could come in, and then DeJuan also can replace the Jawan Taylor pick as well, and so or move as well. So I think immediately picking up kind of where they left off by replacing those guys and then trying to find good value later on. Maybe go instead of maybe like Trey Tucker and Luke Schumacher, maybe go with one or the other and then have go defensive lineman a little bit earlier. Maybe a guy that can come in and compete.
You're really only going defensive lineman, 23 picks earlier? I mean, I guess that's a slight difference, but at that point you're really picking for traits that you like. So
yeah, well, Luke Schumacher to Trey Tucker, I believe, was like 60 picks. So
that's 60. But
yeah. So it's gonna be very interesting. Jags, I think, right now are the favorites to win the AFC South. Colts and Texans seem to be rebuilding. Don't really know what's going on with the Titans. Maybe they're rebuilding as well. So I think they just need to play consistent football next year, and we saw them take massive strides forward. And Trevor Lawrence is, I think, can become one of the better QBs in the AFC if he's not already considered that. And with Calvin Ridley coming back, huge upside to go to have a very fun receiving trio of guys. just
Oh,
to
yeah.
say the least.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm very excited to watch them this upcoming season in 2023. But I think that's going to wrap up their mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you thought of our 7-round mock draft. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.